I bought a galactic cruiser at an auction. Nobody attended. What I found inside amazed me. Part 1. The message arrived on a Tuesday, buried between spam advertisements and overdue payment notices. Sun almost deleted it without reading. His finger hovered over the screen for a moment before curiosity made him stop. Galactic Salvage Auction Lot 7749. Vessel of unknown origin starting bid. 500 credits. 500 credits. That was nothing. That was the price of a broken navigation computer or a damaged airlock seal. Ships cost thousands at minimum, usually tens of thousands. A vessel large enough to be called a cruiser should cost millions. Sun read the message again. Then he read it a third time. He was 34 years old and had spent the last 12 years buying broken ships, fixing them, and selling them to colonists heading to the frontier worlds. It was not glamorous work. Most months, he barely covered his repair bay rental fees. But he knew ships better than he knew people, and he knew that a price this low meant something was very wrong. Still, he thought, what did he have to lose? The auction was scheduled for the following day at Station Orbit 14, a trading hub so old and neglected that half its sections had been sealed off due to radiation leaks. Sun took a transport shuttle from his home station, watching the stars drift past the window as he tried to imagine what kind of ship could possibly be worth only 500 credits. Maybe it was completely destroyed, he thought. Maybe only the frame remained. Maybe it was so alien that no one could figure out how to fly it. That last possibility excited him more than it should have. Station Orbit 14 looked exactly as terrible as he remembered. The docking bay smelled of rust and recycled air that had been recycled too many times. The corridors were dim, lit by flickering panels that buzzed with electrical failure. Sun followed the directions in the auction notice, walking deeper into the station until he reached Section 7, Bay 49. The auction hall was empty. Sun stood in the doorway and looked around. Rows of metal chairs faced a small stage. A display screen showed Lot 7749 with a countdown timer. The starting bid remained at 500 credits. No one had bid. No one was even here to bid. "Hello," he called out. A service android rolled out from behind the stage. It was an old model, dented and scratched, with one optical sensor darker than the other. "Welcome to Galactic Salvage Auction," it said in a flat, mechanical voice. "You are bidder number 1. You are also bidder number only." "Where is everyone?" No other bidders registered for Lot 7749. Sun walked closer to the stage. "What about the auction staff, the sellers?" "The owning corporation declared bankruptcy 14 months ago. I have been authorized to complete all remaining transactions. This is the final lot. After this sale, I will power down permanently." The android almost sounded relieved. "The ship," Sun said. "Tell me about the ship." The android's remaining good eye flickered. "Vessel of unknown origin. Recovered from debris field in Sector 88C approximately 3 years ago. Classification, cruiser. Crew capacity, unknown. Power source, unknown. Manufacturing species, unknown. Previous owners, 22. 22 owners in 3 years." "Correct." "What happened to them?" The android paused. For a machine with no emotions, the pause felt strangely uncomfortable. 17 returned the vessel within 48 hours of purchase. They cited various reasons: bad feelings, strange noises, doors that opened by themselves. They demanded refunds and were granted them. And the other 5? They did not return the vessel. They did not request refunds. They stopped responding to all communications. Station security found their personal belongings aboard but no trace of the owners themselves. Sun felt a chill run down his spine. A smart man would walk away. A smart man would thank the android for its time and catch the next shuttle home. But Sun was not particularly smart. He was curious, and he was broke. and he had spent his entire life looking at things other people threw away and seeing value. "I'll take it," he said. "You are certain?" 500 credits, right? "Correct." Sun transferred the credits from his account. It left him with almost nothing, barely enough for food and shuttle fare. If this ship was worthless, he would be ruined. If this ship was dangerous, he might end up like those 5 missing owners. But if this ship was real, if it worked, it could change everything. The android processed the transaction and produced a small access card. "The vessel is now yours. Base 77, lower level. I am required to inform you that Galactic Salvage accepts no liability for injuries, deaths, disappearances, psychological trauma, or encounters with unknown entities. Do you accept these terms?" "Sure," Sun said, taking the card. "Good luck," the android said. Then it rolled back behind the stage and powered down with a soft click. Sun found Bay 77 at the very bottom of the station, in a section so old that the gravity plating worked only halfway. He floated as much as walked through the final corridor, pulling himself along handrails until he reached the bay door. He pressed the access card against the scanner. The door groaned open, revealing darkness beyond. Sun stepped through and felt his breath catch. The ship was massive. It filled the entire bay, a curved shape of black metal that seemed to absorb the dim light rather than reflect it. The design was like nothing he had ever seen. No sharp angles, no visible seams, no obvious windows or engines. It looked grown rather than built, organic in a way that made his skin prickle. He approached slowly, his footsteps echoing in the empty bay. Up close, he could see patterns in the hull, swirling lines that might have been decoration or might have been something else entirely. He reached out and touched the surface. It was warm. Ships were not supposed to be warm. Metal in space was cold, always cold. He found what looked like an entrance hatch and pressed his palm against it. Nothing happened. He pressed harder, still nothing. "Come on," he muttered. "I own you now, let me in." As if responding to his voice, the hatch slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the corridor was completely dark. Sun pulled out his flashlight and stepped through the hatch. The walls curved around him like the inside of a living creature. The floor was smooth but slightly soft under his boots. He walked deeper into the ship, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. He passed doors that were sealed shut, corridors that branched in directions he could not follow, chambers that his light could not fully illuminate. Then he found the bridge. It was a circular room with a single chair in the center, surrounded by consoles that showed no signs of power. Sun walked to the chair and sat down. The material shaped itself to his body, adjusting to his weight and size. "Okay," he said aloud, feeling foolish. "I bought you, I'm here, what happens now?" Every light on the ship turned on at once. The consoles blazed to life. The walls began to glow with soft blue light. The ceiling shifted, revealing a transparent dome that showed the stars outside. And somewhere deep in the ship, something that had been sleeping for a very long time began to wake up. Sun gripped the armrests of the chair and tried to stay calm. "Hello," he whispered. The ship did not answer. Not yet, but he could feel it watching him, waiting to see what kind of person had finally walked through its doors. For better or worse, he belonged to the ship now. And perhaps the ship belonged to him. "I bought a galactic cruiser at an auction nobody attended. What I found inside amazed me." Part 2. Sun sat in the strange chair for a long time, waiting for something to happen. The lights stayed on. The consoles hummed with quiet power, but nothing attacked him, nothing spoke to him. The ship simply waited as if it was studying him just as much as he was studying it. After an hour, he stood up carefully and began to explore. The ship was enormous. Corridor after corridor stretched before him, leading to rooms he could not understand. Some chambers were filled with equipment that looked like nothing he had ever seen. Others were empty, their walls covered in those strange swirling patterns. A few doors refused to open no matter what he tried. He found sleeping quarters with beds that adjusted to his touch. He found a kitchen area with machines that produced food when he pressed buttons, though the food looked strange and tasted like nothing at all. He found storage rooms filled with containers that would not open. But he found no crew, no bodies, no signs of violence or escape. Just an empty ship waiting for someone. When he finally returned to the docking bay, he realized he had been aboard for nearly 6 hours. His communication device showed 17 missed calls from his sister. Sora was 3 years younger than Sun and twice as smart. She worked as a freelance engineer, specializing in, which meant she spent her days studying alien technology that humans did not fully understand. She also spent a significant amount of time worrying about her older brother. "You bought a what?" she shouted through the communication link. "A ship, a cruiser actually, alien design." "For 500 credits." "Yes." "And you didn't think to call me first." Sun looked back at the massive vessel behind him. "I knew you would try to talk me out of it." "Of course I would try to talk you out of it. Sun, when something sounds too good to be true, it is always too good to be true. This is basic logic." "Maybe, but I need you to come see it. I need your help." Sora was quiet for a moment. "What kind of alien design? One of the colony species?" "None of them. I've never seen anything like it. The android said the origin was unknown." Unknown origin. Sora's voice had changed. The anger was fading, replaced by something else. Curiosity. "Where are you?" "Station Orbit 14, Bay 77. "Don't touch anything else. I'll be there in 4 hours." She made it in 3. Sora was small, with sharp eyes and short hair that she kept practical for working in tight spaces. She arrived with a bag full of scanning equipment and a look on her face that mixed worry with excitement. She stopped at the bay entrance and stared at the ship. "Oh," she said softly, "oh, Sun. I know. I don't know what this is." "I know." They boarded together and Sun watched his sister's expression change as she explored. She touched the walls, scanned the consoles, examined the strange materials. Her equipment beeped and clicked, gathering data she would study later. "The hull composition is unlike anything in our databases," she said. "The power source is active, but I cannot identify what kind of energy it produces. The organic elements are integrated with the mechanical ones in ways that should not be possible." She turned to look at him. "This ship is old, Sun. Really old. Hundreds of thousands of years old, maybe more. How is it still working?" "I don't know. I don't understand any of this." They made their way to the bridge. Sora sat in the central chair while Sun stood nearby, watching her run more scans. The consoles glowed softly around them. The dome above showed the stars. "The previous owners," Sora said. "You said some of them disappeared." "5 of them. The android said they stopped responding to communications. And no one investigated. The owning corporation went bankrupt. I think everyone just wanted to forget about this ship." Sora stood up from the chair and walked to one of the consoles. "There's something under the floor here, a deeper level. Can you feel it?" Now that she mentioned it, Sun could feel something. A vibration, so faint it was almost imaginary, coming from somewhere below them. "I felt it the whole time I was here," he admitted. "I thought I was imagining it." "You weren't." Sora knelt down and pressed her hand against the floor. "It's like a heartbeat." The moment she said that word, the walls changed. The blue light shifted, pulsing in a rhythm that matched what they felt through the floor. The swirling pattern seemed to move, flowing like water across the surfaces. And then the ship spoke. It was not a voice exactly. It was more like a vibration that traveled through their bodies and somehow became words in their minds. The sensation was strange and uncomfortable, like hearing through their bones instead of their ears. You are the second to touch with kind intent. Sora jumped to her feet. What was that? Sun tried to stay calm even though his heart was racing. I think that was the ship. Correct, I am the vessel. I have WAITED. Waited for what? Sun asked. For someone worthy. Sora grabbed her brother's arm. We should leave right now. But Sun did not move. He had questions, and for the first time something was offering answers. What happened to the other owners, the 5 who disappeared? They were rejected. Their intents were impure, greed, violence, exploitation. They sought to use me as a weapon or sell me as a prize. I returned them to where they belonged. You killed them. No, I returned to their home worlds, to their origins. They live still, but they remember nothing of me. This is mercy. Sora's grip on Sun's arm tightened. It can erase memories. It can teleport people across the galaxy. The VEHN built me to protect. We were masters of space and time. We chose to sleep rather than become what we feared. The Sun repeated, who are the MYCRATORS? They sleep within me. They have slept for 400,000 years. For a moment, neither human could speak. 400,000 years. Human civilization was only a fraction of that age. When they built this ship, humans were still living in caves. Why? Sun finally asked. Why did they sleep? What were they afraid of becoming? The ship paused. The pulsing light slowed. Themselves, we became too powerful. We began to consume instead of create. The elders saw what we would become and chose another path. Preservation. Waiting. Hoping that someone would come who could be trusted. Trusted with what? With us. The floor beneath them shifted, revealing a hidden stairway leading down into the ship's depths. Blue light glowed from below, soft and inviting. Come, I will show you what you have PURCHASED. Sora shook her head. This is insane. We don't know what's down there. We don't know anything, Sun said, but we won't learn by running away. He looked at his sister. You've spent your whole life studying things you don't understand. This is the same thing, just bigger. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed and released his arm. If we die, I'm going to be very angry with you. Fair enough. Together, they descended into the depths of the ship, following the blue light into whatever waited below. Above them, the stairway sealed shut, and the ship continued its ancient, patient rhythm. Whatever they found down there would change everything. They just didn't know how much yet. I bought a galactic cruiser at an auction nobody attended. What I found inside amazed me. Part 3. The stairway descended for what felt like forever. Sun counted 100 steps before he stopped counting. The blue light grew stronger as they went deeper, and the air became warmer, filled with a soft humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. When they finally reached the bottom, both siblings stopped and stared. The chamber was enormous, stretching so far that Sun could not see the walls, and filling every part of it were pods, thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. Each pod was about 2 meters long, made of the same dark material as the ship's hull, with a transparent panel on top that glowed with soft light. Sora approached the nearest pod and looked through the panel. She gasped. Inside was a being unlike anything in any database. It was humanoid but clearly not human. The skin was a pale silver color. The features were delicate, almost beautiful, with closed eyes that had no visible lids. The being wore no clothing, but thin lines of light traced patterns across its body, pulsing gently like blood through veins. They're alive, Sora whispered. They're all alive. Sun walked through the rows of pods looking at face after face. Some looked peaceful, others seemed sad even in sleep. All of them were waiting. Though he said, this is what you meant, they're all here. The SLEPERS. 400,000 years they have waited. I have kept them safe. I have rejected all who would harm them. How many? 47,312. The last of our people. There are other ships, other sleepers scattered across the galaxy, but communication has been lost. I do not know if any others survive. Sora turned away from the pod, her face pale. This is too big. This is too much. We need to tell someone. The Galactic Union, the Scientific Council, someone. And what happens then? Sun asked. Politicians and corporations fighting over who gets to study them. Scientists taking them apart to learn their secrets. Militaries trying to wake them up so they can use their technology. We can't just keep this secret. Previous owners had similar DEBATES. Some WANTED to sell. Some WANTED to study. Some WANTED to destroy what they could not control. None asked what the sleepers themselves would want. Sun looked at the nearest pod, at the silver face sleeping peacefully inside. What do they want? To be treated as people. To wake when the time is right. To find that the galaxy has grown kind enough to welcome them. Has it grown kind enough? I do not know. That is why I test those who find me. That is why I have rejected so many. You are the first who came with nothing but curiosity. The first who asked questions instead of making demands. Before Sun could respond, an alarm sounded. The ship's voice shifted, becoming sharper. Warning, external contact. Galactic Union customs vessel approaching. Sora pulled out her communication device and swore. The energy signature. My scans must have been detected. Someone noticed. Can we hide it? Negative. The customs vessel has already scanned my exterior. They know I am not a standard ship. A new voice crackled through Sora's device. Vessel in Bay 77, this is Inspector Min of the Galactic Union Customs Division. You are harboring an unregistered alien craft with anomalous energy readings. Prepare for boarding and inspection. Sun and Sora exchanged looks. There was no way to hide tens of thousands of sleeping aliens. There was no way to explain any of this. What do we do? Sora asked. That is your choice. I can refuse them entry. I can protect you. But if I reveal mycapabilities, more will come. Larger forces, the choice must be yours. Sun thought about it. Running would only delay the problem. Fighting would make them enemies of every government in the galaxy. There was only one option that made any sense. Let them in, he said. Let them see. Are you crazy? Sora grabbed his shoulders. If they see this, it's over. We lose everything. We don't own these people, Sora. We can't hide them forever. And if we try, we're no better than the owners who wanted to sell them. The ship was quiet for a moment. Then the blue light pulsed warmly. You continue to surprise me. Inspector Min was a tired man. Sun could see it in his eyes when he boarded the ship, accompanied by 2 security officers. The inspector looked like someone who had been doing this job for too many years and had stopped expecting to find anything interesting. That changed when he saw the chamber. What is this? Min walked through the rows of pods, his hand shaking as he ran his scanner over the nearest sleeper. These are alive. These are real living beings. They're called the, Sun said. They've been sleeping for 400,000 years. That's impossible. Apparently not. Min's scanner beeped frantically, unable to process what it was measuring. I have to report this. Protocol requires immediate notification to Union headquarters. He looked at Sun with something that might have been sympathy. I'm sorry. This is beyond my authority. I understand. The inspector moved away to make his report, speaking quietly into his communicator. Sun could not hear the words, but he could see Min's expression change from confused to worried to something close to fear. When he returned, the inspector's face was grim. Director Mi is taking personal control of this situation. She's sending a recovery fleet. They'll be here within 12 hours. Recovery fleet, Sora repeated. You mean military? I mean whatever she decides to send. Director handles all first contact situations and alien technology recovery. He paused, choosing his words carefully, efficient. And what happens to the sleepers? They'll be secured, studied. The director will determine the best course of action for galactic security. Sun felt cold. They're not a security threat. They're refugees. They chose to sleep rather than become conquerors. That's not my decision to make. Min looked genuinely troubled. Look, I believe you. Whatever this ship is, whatever these beings are, I don't think you're trying to cause trouble. But the director won't care about that. She'll see an unknown alien species with technology beyond anything we understand, and she'll do whatever it takes to control it. Then help us, Sora said suddenly. Min blinked. What? You said you believe us. You can see these are just people, sleeping people who haven't hurt anyone. Help us find a way to protect them. The inspector was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the pods glowed softly, tens of thousands of lives hanging in the balance. Finally, he shook his head. I can't, I'm sorry, I have a duty, I have a family. I can't risk everything for people I met 5 minutes ago. He turned toward the exit. You have 12 hours. I don't know what you can do in that time, but I won't stop you from trying. After he left, Sun and Sora stood alone among the sleepers. 12 hours, Sora said. Not enough time to move them, not enough time to hide. What do we do? Sun looked at the pods, at the faces, at the lives that had trusted this ship to protect them for longer than human civilization had existed. We don't run, he said. We don't hide, we find another way. The ship's voice was soft now, almost gentle. I can offer you a choice. I can protect you, but only if you accept responsibility for what WAKES. Do you accept? Sun took a deep breath. Yes, whatever it takes, yes. The lights around them blazed brighter, and somewhere in the depths of the ship, something ancient began to stir. I bought a galactic cruiser at an auction. Nobody attended. What I found inside amazed me. Part 4. The ship transformed around them. Walls that had been dark now glowed with lines of golden light. Consoles that had shown simple displays now projected complex patterns in the air. The floor beneath their feet vibrated with power that Sun could feel in his bones. Command accepted. Full activation initiated. Defensive SYSTEMS online. Navigation SYSTEMS online. Communication SYSTEMS online. Sora grabbed a console to steady herself as the ship hummed with energy. What's happening? I think I just became the captain, Sun said. You have accepted responsibility. The ship responds to your will. But I must warn you. Full activation will be DETECTED. Every scanner in this sector will see what I am. Let them see. On the bridge, the dome overhead showed Station Orbit 14 falling away as the ship rose from the docking bay. No engines fired. No thrust pushed them forward. The ship simply moved because Sun wanted it to move. Sun, Sora said quietly, staring at the display console in front of her. According to these readings, this ship has weapons that could destroy a planet, shields that could block a star's radiation, engines that could cross the galaxy in hours. I know. And you're the only one who can control it. I know. Are you scared? Terrified? She almost smiled. Good, a person with this much power should be scared. The hours passed slowly. Sun sat in the command chair, watching the stars and waiting for the fleet to arrive. Sora worked at the consoles, learning what she could about the ship's systems. Neither of them spoke much. There was too much to think about. Inspector Min contacted them twice. The first time was to confirm the fleet's arrival time. The second time was to warn them. Director is not sending a recovery team, he said, his voice tense through the communication link. She's sending 6 military cruisers with full combat readiness. Whatever you're planning, she's not taking chances. Thank you for warning us. I shouldn't be doing this. If anyone finds out I'm helping you, then don't help us, just watch, see what happens, then decide for yourself what's right. Min was quiet for a moment. I'll be observing from the station. Good luck. When the fleet arrived, it came fast. 6 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding Sun's vessel like wolves around prey. Each ship was 3 times the size of his cruiser, bristling with weapons, painted with the Galactic Union military colors. A voice crackled through all communication channels. Unknown vessel, this is Director Me of the Galactic Union Special Operations Division. You are in possession of unregistered alien technology and unidentified biological entities. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will be met with force. Sun took a deep breath. Director, my name is Sun. I purchased this vessel legally at a salvage auction. The beings aboard are not threats. They're refugees who have been sleeping for 400,000 years. Mister, I don't care how you acquired the vessel. By Union law, all first contact situations and alien technology discoveries fall under military jurisdiction. You have 60 seconds to power down. And if I refuse, then you will be disabled by force and arrested for obstruction of Union security operations. Your alien specimens will be taken into protective custody regardless. Her voice was cold, professional, without any hint of doubt. 50 seconds. Sora looked at her brother. She's not bluffing. I know. They cannot harm you. Their weapons are insufficient. But if you destroy them, you become what the VEHNFEARED. I'm not going to destroy anyone. Sun stood from the command chair. I need you to wake one of the sleepers, just one, the oldest one, someone who can speak for their people. The process will take several minutes. Are you certain? Yes. 20 seconds, Director announced. Sun opened a channel back to her. Director, I'm asking you to wait. I'm waking one of the beings aboard so they can speak for themselves. Give them a chance to explain who they are. 15 seconds. Please. There was a pause, then. You have 5 minutes. If this is a trick, it will be your last. Deep in the ship, something began to change. One of the pods started to glow brighter than the others. The silver figure inside stirred for the first time in 400. Eyes that had never seen human space flickered open. The being that emerged was tall and thin, moving slowly like someone waking from a very long sleep. Its silver skin caught the light in strange ways. Its eyes were deep purple, ancient and kind and terribly sad. Elder So, one of the last council members, he led the decision to sleep. The elder walked to the bridge with Sora's help, each step steadier than the last. When he saw the fleet surrounding them, when he understood the situation through the ship systems, his expression did not change. So, he said, and his voice was soft but clear, translated by the ship into sounds humans could understand. We wake to find the galaxy still at war with itself. Not war, Sun said, just fear. They don't understand what you are. Fear is how all wars begin. Elder So looked at him carefully. And you, the ship tells me you are the reason I live again, that you chose to wake us rather than sell us or study us or use us. I didn't know what else to do. Honesty, how strange and wonderful. So turned to the communication console. May I speak to the one who threatens us? Sun nodded and opened the channel. Director Me, Elder So said. My name is So, I was, a leader of the people. We have slept for 400,000 years because we feared what our power was making us become. We built ships like this one and scattered ourselves across the galaxy, hoping that someday someone would find us who could be trusted. This is a trick, said flatly. a programmed response to avoid capture. It is not, I am speaking to you, one being to another. We have technology that could end your civilization in moments. We could sweep aside your fleet like dust, but we will not. We chose sleep over conquest. We chose preservation over empire. So paused. Do you know why we are awake now? Because this human, this son, asked us nothing. He sought no power. He sought no weapons. He walked into an empty room and bought a broken ship because he was curious. That is all. Curiosity without greed. It is the rarest thing we have ever found. The communication channel was silent. The military ships held their positions but did not fire. So continued, his voice carrying across the fleet's channels and to the station beyond. We will share what we know, medicine, science, philosophy, all of it freely given. We ask only to be treated as people, not as specimens. We ask only for the chance to exist without fear. Inspector Min's voice broke through from the station. This is being broadcast on open channels. Half the station is watching. Other stations are picking it up. Director's response was immediate. Cut that transmission. I can't, it's everywhere. Within hours, the entire sector knew. Within days, the entire galaxy would know. The had returned, and they came with gifts instead of weapons, hope instead of conquest. Director's fleet remained in position for a long time, but with the galaxy watching, she could not fire. She could not attack beings who offered only peace. This is not over, she said finally. You've made enemies today, mister. Maybe, son replied, but I've also made friends. The fleet, the crisis passed, and aboard the ship, Elder So placed a silver hand on son's shoulder. Thank you, he said, for giving us a second chance. What happens now? Now we wake the others. Now we find out what kind of galaxy you have built, and now we hope it is ready for what comes next. In the depths of the ship, more pods began to glow. I bought a galactic cruiser at an auction. Nobody attended. What I found inside amazed me. Part 5. 3 months after the standoff, the galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. News networks ran stories every day about their ship, about the human salvage dealer who had stumbled into first contact. Experts debated what it meant. Politicians argued about jurisdiction. Religious leaders called it either a miracle or a threat, depending on who was speaking. But aboard the ship, which Sun had named Yang after the sun, life had settled into something almost normal. Almost. Sun stood on the bridge, watching as another group of completed their waking process. It took about 6 hours for a sleeper to fully revive, and they were waking them in small groups to avoid overwhelming the ship systems. So far, about 3,000 had returned to consciousness. 44,000 still slept. The latest group is adjusting well, Sora reported from her console. She had become the unofficial liaison between the engineers and human technology, learning more about alien science in 3 months than most researchers learned in a lifetime. They're asking about music. Apparently, they had a whole art form based on sound frequencies that we can't even hear. Can we modify something for them? I'm working on it with their technical team. It's actually fascinating. Their brains process audio in ways that... She stopped herself, smiling. Sorry, you probably don't need a 3-hour lecture right now. Later, I want to hear it later. Inspector Min entered the bridge, carrying a tablet filled with reports. He had resigned from the Galactic Union 2 weeks after the standoff, unable to continue working for an organization that wanted to treat the as property. Now he served as Sun's political advisor, handling the endless stream of requests, demands, and threats that came from every corner of the galaxy. Good news and bad news, Min said. The coalition of free worlds has officially recognized thee as a sovereign people with full rights. That's 12 major systems that will protect you if the Union tries anything. And the bad news. Director is pushing for a resolution in the Union Senate. She wants to classify all technology as military assets requiring immediate seizure. She's calling it the Protection of Galactic Security Act. Elder So emerged from the lower levels, moving more easily now than he had 3 months ago. His silver skin had developed subtle patterns of gold, a sign of returning health that Sun still did not fully understand. Let her try, So said calmly. We have faced worse. The question is not what Director wants. The question is what the galaxy truly believes. Public opinion is still mostly on our side, Min admitted. The broadcast changed everything. People saw you asking for peace, not war. They saw humans standing beside you instead of trying to control you. Then we continue as we have. We give freely. We ask for nothing. We let our actions speak for us. That had been the strategy from the beginning, and it was working. Every week, they released new gifts to the galaxy. Medical treatments that could cure diseases humanity had never been able to defeat. Engineering techniques that made faster-than-light travel cleaner and more efficient. Agricultural knowledge that could help colony worlds grow food in impossible conditions. All of it free, all of it shared without restriction. At first, people had been suspicious. Nothing was truly free, they said. They must want something. They must be planning something. But weeks turned into months, and they continued to give. They asked for nothing in return except to be left alone, to wake their people in peace, to build a new life in a galaxy that had changed beyond recognition during their long sleep. Slowly, suspicion began to fade. Not everywhere, not for everyone, but enough. That evening, Sun sat with Elder So in one of the ship's observation rooms. The stars spread out before them, infinite and beautiful. In 3 months, Sun had learned more about those stars than he had in 34 years of living among them. I've been wondering something, Sun said. You told us the chose to sleep because they were becoming dangerous, because their power was turning them into conquerors. But you're giving that power away now. Aren't you worried it will do the same thing to us? So was quiet for a long moment. Yes, we are worried. We discuss it often among those who have woken. Then why do it? Because keeping secrets is what corrupted us in the first place. So turned to look at Sun with those ancient purple eyes. We hoarded knowledge. We controlled information. We decided who was worthy and who was not. We became tyrants without ever realizing it, and by the time we understood what we had become, it was almost too late. So you decided to give everything away instead. Not quite. We decided to trust. We decided to believe that others could be better than we were. We decided to take a chance on the galaxy, knowing it might destroy us, because the alternative was destroying ourselves. Sun thought about that. He thought about the empty auction room, the android warning him about missing owners, the fear he had felt when he first stepped aboard this ship. He had taken a chance too. A small one compared to sleeping for 400,000 years, but a chance nonetheless. Why me? He asked. Out of everyone who could have found you, why was I the one who passed your test? So smiled, an expression that looked strange on his alien face but somehow still carried warmth. I asked the ship the same question. Do you know what it told me? What? It said you were hungry. Hungry. Not for food, for understanding, for answers, for knowledge. You walked into an empty room and bought a mysterious ship not because you wanted power or wealth, but because you could not bear not knowing what was inside. So placed a silver hand on Sun's shoulder. That hunger, that pure desire to understand, is the rarest and most beautiful thing in any species. We have seen it in only a handful of beings across our entire existence. And when the ship found it in you, it knew you were the one we had been waiting for. Sun felt tears forming in his eyes, though he could not have explained why. I'm nobody special. I'm just a salvage dealer who got lucky. No, you are a salvage dealer who was brave enough to enter an empty room, who was honest enough to admit he wanted nothing, who was kind enough to ask what we wanted instead of telling us what we would become. So squeezed his shoulder gently. That is not luck. That is character. That is who you are. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars. Eventually, Min's voice came through the ship's communication system. Son, we're receiving a message from the Union Senate. Director's resolution failed. The Protection Act was voted down. How? Apparently, a coalition of species argued that you can't seize gifts. If the technology is being freely given, it doesn't belong to anyone, so it can't be military property. The logic was strange, but it worked. Sun laughed. Beside him, Elder So laughed too, a soft sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. What destination now? The ship asked through the walls, through their bones, through the connection that had formed between them over months of shared experience. Sun stood up and looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, other ships might be waiting. Others sleeping in the darkness, hoping someone would find them. Other chances to do something good in a galaxy that had seen too much fear. Wherever we're needed, he said. The Yang turned toward the infinite void and began to move. Behind them, 3,000 waking prepared to share their knowledge. Ahead of them, a galaxy full of mysteries waited to be discovered. And at the center of it all, a human who had bought a ship nobody wanted stood on the bridge, surrounded by friends he had never expected to find, heading toward a future he could not imagine. It had started with an empty auction room and a price too low to be true. It had become something far greater. And it was only the beginning.